Should you invest in Bitcoin or ETH? Bitcoin and ETH are both blue chips, and they're safe or relatively safe as far as crypto is concerned. However, it's not likely to get nearly as high of returns with Bitcoin. ETH probably get better returns even from today's prices, today being February 18th, 2024. But you're not going to, spend $5,000 on Bitcoin or ETH and then come out the other side with $50,000, $100,000, maybe 50,000 with ETH, and it is possible with Bitcoin. And to be very clear, I'm talking about the 2024, 2025 bull run. I'm not talking about 2030, 2032, 2050, talking about in the next 1 to 2 years. So as far as like anything, like any crypto project, when it comes down to should you invest in it, it's a matter of opinion, and it's also a matter of your situation, how much wealth you have, what age you are, the amount of gains that you're really looking to make, what your risk tolerance is. The reason for that simply being that you can make higher multiples in other altcoins when compared to Ethereum and when compared to Bitcoin. As far as what specific altcoins, that's not really the subject of this video. However, if you're looking to get at least 10x gains between now and the end of 2025, then I would say you probably shouldn't be putting much of your portfolio in Bitcoin or ETH. Some might say don't put any part of your portfolio into Bitcoin or ETH. In my opinion, some of the better use cases for investing in Bitcoin would include things like, maybe you're in your 40s or 50s, maybe older, maybe you're in your 60s. Maybe you already have $500,000, $1 million, $2 million, and you'd really like to double or triple, maybe even 5x it, right? But you don't want to take on a ton of risk, and you don't want it to necessarily take, 15, 20 years to do it. If that sounds like you, then I would suggest considering investing into Bitcoin. If, on the other hand, you're really looking to make at least a 10x, you could put some into Ethereum. It could 10x. I think it's more likely for Ethereum to 10x between now and the end of 2025 than for Bitcoin to 10x. But even then, I think that you should be looking at mid caps, small caps, maybe even some micro caps. When you're talking about making 10, 15, 20, 50, the higher the multiple, the more I'm going to say, you shouldn't be in Bitcoin. And once you start getting past like a 6 or 8x, at the most, you probably shouldn't be in Ethereum. Like if you really have to have an 8x or a 10x or a 15x in the next 1 to 2 years, I wouldn't put a bunch of money into Bitcoin or Ethereum. The other consideration here that some people seem to be getting more and more concerned about is the rate at which institutions are buying up Bitcoin since the ETF approval. To that, I think I would say two things. One, if you already have some Bitcoin, then I guess the real question is, should you hodl it or should you sell it, when it doubles or triples during this cycle? I think maybe we might circle back to that. However, if you don't already have Bitcoin and you're looking to make 10x multiples or more, it starts to get a little more challenging. If this is a concern that you have, then maybe consider doing something like putting 5 or 10% of your crypto portfolio into Bitcoin. Another way to go with that is you could throw caution to the wind a little bit more and just decide that, you don't want to buy Bitcoin at over $50,000 of Bitcoin. You want to wait until the next bull market, and you're thinking, Bitcoin's going to drop back to, something lower, 45, 40, 36, and therefore give you a better buying opportunity at a lower price. And to put this into another perspective, myself, I currently have somewhere between 8 to 9 million Satoshis being a micro unit of Bitcoin, of which 100 million Satoshis comprises one whole Bitcoin. So in other words, I have about 8 to 9% of one Bitcoin currently. So the question that I have been asking myself recently questions that I've been asking myself recently are, should I just take profits and sell when Bitcoin doubles or triples and then reinvest elsewhere, or hold the money and wait for Bitcoin to come down in price and buy back in, or what? Now, here's the other thing. Very long-term hodling in the vast, vast, vast majority of crypto, very long-term hodling, I would not typically recommend. There's very few exceptions where I would even consider that, Bitcoin being potentially one of them. Because although, even if Bitcoin 10x's or 100x's, which, to be clear, I absolutely do not expect that to happen in the next couple of years. But when it does happen, or if it happens, let's say Bitcoin 10x's, I have around about $4,500 worth of Satoshis. So if Bitcoin were to 10x, that'd be about $45,000. But again, very doubtful that Bitcoin's going to 10x. during the 2024-2025 bull cycle. However, even if it 100x's on any time scale, and I just hodl the whole time and it goes to 100x, okay, it's worth $450,000, and that's pretty nice. However, that's if I were to just hold it, right? Another possible scenario is I could do what a lot of people do historically, which is buy low, sell high, buy back in low, rinse and repeat. But what I keep asking myself is, what is the new low going to be 2-3 years from now? Because I think there's a good chance that the new low will be, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, maybe $60,000, low enough to where you should be able to sell, even if you were to buy Bitcoin today at around $52,000, it would say double or triple, and you sell it somewhere around there, and then you hold your money. I think Bitcoin will drop from that price in order to give you a re-entry point that makes good financial sense. Not that this is financial advice. Now, on the flip side, there's also the possibility that the ETF influx, or rather all the money with the ETFs, people are talking about a super cycle. For that reason, I think is the primary differentiator this cycle. Some people are even talking about Bitcoin at, $500,000 by the end of 2025. I'm not saying that's not going to happen, but I am saying that I don't think that is going to happen. So in my guesstimation, I think that a person could, if they had Bitcoin, we already talked about whether to buy Bitcoin or not buy Bitcoin, but if you have Bitcoin, or for whatever reason, you're just determined to get Bitcoin, yeah, I think you can double or triple your money. Maybe 4 or 5x it, maybe. And it is possible for it to go higher than that, but very doubtful that that's going to actually happen by the end of 2025. However, the thing is, I also look at Bitcoin like a savings account. I tend not to, this isn't strictly true, but I tend not to like putting money into a savings account in the bank. And I kind of think of Bitcoin as my savings account. So that use case, along with the fact that you might just be concerned about being priced out of the market too quickly, because of ETFs or for any other reason. And so that's just another thing to think about, when you're asking yourself, should you put any of your money into Bitcoin or not? Personally, I've been DCAing into Bitcoin for the last 2-3 months. Not by a lot. I've only been doing around $20 every Sunday. Although in the spirit of DCAing, I should keep doing it. I'm not actually entirely sure that I am going to keep doing it, or if I'm going to wait for a better buying opportunity to accumulate more and essentially just stop DCAing, right? But since I have Bitcoin, I haven't actually decided if I want to sell what I have and then hold it for a period of time and reinvest either into Bitcoin or something else, or if I just want to hodl it. Now, with that said, I don't think Bitcoin's going to 20x, 50x, 100x anytime soon. And by that, I'm talking this cycle and beyond. So you got to remember, Bitcoin right now is around $52,000 some odd on February 18th, 2024, at least when I checked around noontime Pacific. For Bitcoin to 100x, it's currently a $1 trillion market cap. So for it to 100x, you're talking about a $100 trillion market cap. ETFs are not. And I think for Bitcoin to come anywhere near that universe, you're going to have to see some major changes in the world. I'm talking like the US dollar collapses kind of major changes. And if that happens, at least for me, being a US citizen living in the United States of North America, even if I had a couple Bitcoin, like a couple whole Bitcoin, which I don't think that is going to save me at that point. It would probably help. I'd probably be glad to have it than to not have it, but I think that's going to fall short of solving all of my financial problems if something like that were to happen. So in short, you'd have to really talk about your specific situation, your specific risk tolerance, what your goals are financially, what your timetable is, what your current age is, and by that, I'm just talking like, how many years do we have to work with here? And even taking all that into consideration, I might be of one opinion and you might be of a completely different opinion for yourself. You could be, or just in fact turn into a Bitcoin maxi for all I know. In which case, this whole video is pointless. All you got to do is keep buying Bitcoin and hodling. What is your strategy? Do you invest in Bitcoin at all? Do you have any Bitcoin already? Do you invest in ETH? Let us know.